Good everyone. I hope you guys have an amazing day. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to talk about the gamification. Well, I'm not going to build games, but I'm just going to talk about the recognition and the badges, right? If you would have done the trailhead, right, you would know that after completing some module, you get a badge, right? Something similar you can enable for experienced cloud site user. Let me give you an example, right? Let's say you are building a product, right? You have a software product, right? And you wanted to sell it. And you have enabled Experience Cloud Site so that the user can visit and look for the knowledge base, and there's a question and answer forum. And say, for instance, one customer asks the question, and perhaps the other user answer it. Um, let's say if that specific user answers questions, say 5 to 6 times. I mean, different questions. If you answer 5 to 6 times, then that person will be rewarded with a badge, right? Kind of a recognition to say, hey, for doing a good job. So that's something we can configure in Experience Cloud side if you really wanted to do that. That's something I want to show you how to do that. It's pretty simple. And then we create a mission. Mission is to say, hey, if you will do, say, if you provide an answer to, say, 5 questions or 10 questions, you will be awarded a badge. You can manually award a badge to the user, but that's not always a great solution, right? I mean, imagine if you have, say, 10 to 50,000 user, then you can't really do that, right? So yeah, that's some of the stuff I'm gonna talk about. It's pretty simple. So the first thing first, right? I logged into my org. Excuse me. And then I go to the setup, and I'm just gonna go. This is a tiny topic, right? Compare with respect to your certification. You may get asked one question, or you may not. Depends. They don't always ask questions around it, but you might get. Right? Depends. Like I said. So it's good to know what it's the purpose of it, and also from an implementation perspective, right? If someone comes to you and say, "Hey, we got this user and we wanted to build this functionality. Can we award the badge kind of scenario, a badge kind of functionality? Can we do that?" And if you know how to do that, you can surely say, "Yes, we can do that," right? Excuse me. So so what I've done, I went to this digital experience all side and go to workspace, right? Under workspace, you have something. No, this. I think I've used into other login. Okay, let me log into another one. Let me see. Hang on, because I'm using this Trailhead. So maybe that's why it's not working. Trailhead work. Oh no, sorry, we got this one. So go to gamification here. So under gamification, if you are trying this for the first time, you will see the gamification is disabled, so you enable it. And when you do that, you will see you got this recognition badges and the missions here, right? So if you go to recognition badges, um, you will see some of them are out of box. If you wanted to create a new one, let's say you can do that. And I would say, the QA badge, right? You can give whatever name you want, the meaningful name which makes sense. So now you can make it public. You can actively, obviously, you need to do that. Um, so if you don't want to allow this badge to be accessible to every members, then you can untag it and you can allow for only for special members, specific members. That's possible, right? But for now, I just keep it for public. Okay, now mission badge is where it's get interesting, right? Like I said, if you remember that if you can manually assign a badge to the user, but that's not really a great way to do so, right? Instead, the best way to do is to automatically trigger the badge assignment based on a certain task or a certain mission. So we're just going to make it a mission badge and then choose this. Whatever image, right? Makes no difference. Choose a valid one, which makes sense. So I'll choose this. Okay, now obviously I have to create a mission. So when that person will get user will get assigned a badge. So I'll do new. I'll say QA, and the mission I will say okay QA, and select an activity. So when a person write a comment, answer a question, right? This is what I want. A user who's contributing to the question and answer section should be rewarded. So that the reason why some of the companies prefer this option, so that to keep the user more engaged, right, to your site, so that they can contribute with their knowledge. Sometimes what happens, right, you might have seen that, right, sometimes the user group can be used as an can play a bigger role in providing like a Q&A kind of session. Like for instance, if I'm a user, I have an issue with some of one part of the component. Let's say I remember that I'll give you a simple example, right? I used to work for I used to build solution on Financial Force. It's a pretty good ERP platform. They have professional service automation, then have FFA, which is the accounting stuff, right? And they used to have this partner portal, right, which is pretty cool. You can go and look at the knowledge base and help documentation. So if you take that example, right, let's say I have a question, okay, about say PSA, and say, hey, can you explain to me how this thing works or how the skills works, right? And if I don't know the answer to the question, maybe another user would see that question and answer that question, saying, hey, skills works in this and on the project and kind of stuff, right? Just an example, I'm saying. And let's say the same person who replied to my question, he replied to other people's questions, say 5 times, then that person should be rewarded with a badge saying, hey, he's a super user or something like that, right? Just to keep that user engaged. Otherwise, right, what happens is that person will get bored and will stop contributing, which is not exactly what companies are after, right? They want their knowledge base to grow, and the users are the best knowledge base because most of the users are very knowledgeable on the product, so they obviously like to help other users. So if you understand what I'm trying to say, okay, so that's cool. That's saved. So yeah, that's a very simple way to configure it. The one thing though you have to remember, right? As you can see that I can create a recognition badge. Sometimes you may not have an option to do so. So for that, you need to go create a permission set and assign that to the user who you want to give this access to create. So for that, what you need to do, just go to your org, regular org, not the Experience Cloud site, setup, look for permission set. You need to create one. So I've already created one. I think, what's the name? I've forgotten the name. Okay, I'll show you what it, just pick any permissions, all right? Let's say access to contact, right? And search for badge, right? And you need to look for this create custom badge definition. So you go here, right? And just enable it and say and tick this one. So what that means is that you can create custom badge definitions. So if you go here, so that's the simple stuff, right? So nothing fancy there. And then yeah, so that's in terms of the badges, right? Sometimes what happens, right? You may want to control the language, the tone of the language. Say for instance, you don't want the users to add swear words when they want to ask questions like F words or S words or whatever, right? You may want to moderate the post, right? You may not want the user to contaminate your Q&A session, right? You obviously want professionalism in the writing. So there is an option you can enable to do so. So I'm going to show you how to do so. So I'm going to close this, okay? And I'll go back to the digital side again. On site. Going to go to workspace again. And I got something called moderation. So this is where you can monitor post and moderate post, right? And just to set the tone of the language you prefer the customer to use. Now this is the moderate. I got none, and I got no rules set up as well. So okay, I got rules here. Okay, that's good. So rules are like you can create a new rule. So what should happen, uh, if someone uses a banned word, like someone uses F word, what you should do, you should ban the post. Okay, that's exactly what is happening. So you're gonna block that post. So I'll show you the settings. You can create any new rules, but just some of the example. So unique name. So this you're gonna ban it. So the actions are defined here. You can block, review. If you wanted to, if you're not sure, you can send for review, and you can send a message to the member why you're doing it because it contains the block keywords and all the other settings, which is pretty simple, right? Content criteria, ban keyword. Now you must be wondering, okay, now where I'm gonna get this blocked keywords from, right? Well, that's pretty simple. So if you go to the member criteria, sorry, moderation rules, where is it? Yeah, sorry, content criteria. So these are the ban keywords. If you come here, so you see a lot of, some of them are slang words even I'm not familiar with because some of the terms are American terms and I'm not really familiar with American slangs and terms because I don't live in the United States. But yeah, but like F word, S words, this is common, right? Across nationality, people understand that. So you can add your moderation word here, something which you wanted to control. This is a great way to control or moderate the post, right? Especially for Q&A, forums, these kind of uh, scenarios. But if you're not providing user to type anything, then you don't have to bother with it. But this is normally for, like I said, for the posts with Q&A kind of stuff. So yeah, this is a pretty amazing option in my personal opinion. It actually controls any spam content that getting published, right? Obviously, you don't want a question like "What the f is f that kind of s" and kind of stuff, right? Which is a pretty BS kind of post. So that kind of post should be blocked. So you can do that using this um, content criteria, and then you can add the rule for the members, right? Sorry, moderation rules we can add. So yeah, that's pretty much I wanted to talk about it. Like I said, you may or may not get a question from this topic. Sometimes you might see one question, sometimes you may not see any questions at all. But that being said, it's good to know. So that's the reason why I'm talking about this topic. So that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing Monday. Adios.